mentor in a young person's life, I advise you not to do it. Don't set this young person up for failure. And so those are some of the pitfalls. And then obviously for those organizations that do mentoring, it is a lack of funding, lack of support. And so trying to recognize those are some of the pitfalls that many people are going to experience. And like I said, setting up that this is a long-term commitment.
This book here, Effective Mentoring, what is it, in your mind, what is it one of the ways that people can apply it to their mentoring every day? Like, how does it become a tool for them to help?
The purpose of the book is I kind of combined all of my 15 years of experience working with young people, working on the federal program with mentoring program, and saying, well, this is just a cookie cutter approach to it. But what people can take away from this is really a comprehensive from beginning to the end. And what you can take away of understanding, one is the context of which our young people live in. And not just kind of approach this as a lecturing kids, you the one are the expert in this, but a relationship is a two-way street. And so it's about building trust, it's about building respect with a young person. And so I believe that this book provides a tool and a resource to anyone who's working with young people across the board.
Okay, very good. And I noticed that you have work sort of content matter for organizations.
Yes.
And then those who are just doing that, their one-on-one mentoring.
Yes.
How does someone, see themselves, how can they finally see themselves as a mentor? A lot of people may not have embraced it, even though they're doing it every day, but they haven't embraced it. How do you transition from not being a mentor to actually seeing yourself like, wow, I am a mentor?
I think you recognize some of those key characteristics that I talked about earlier. It has to be intentional. In order for it to be effective, it has to be intentional. You just be talking to kids and so forth, but you have to recognize that this is what I want out of this. I want to be able to impart some wisdom and knowledge and provide opportunities to young people. And I think once you recognize that, that's kind of the first step.
Fair enough. Well, you mentioned that, you end your book with a call to action, right? And it seemed to be, you list how important it is for people to get activated, but you didn't really. I didn't come across the urgency, but it's an urgent call. This is a really urgent
absolutely.
call.
I mean, you look at today. I mean, the gun violence, the statistics of young people, the graduation rate, the statistics of young people being suspended from school, the statistics of young African American kids and Hispanic kids basically being incarcerated. So at a higher rate, and so the need is critical. And so if you look at these organizations across the country, there is a lack of effective mentors in their life, and so the need is extremely high because again, we see the violence, we see the lack of education and so forth out there. That's why the need is so critical.
Right. I noticed something also that was pretty profound actually in your book. It mentioned a sort of a succession plan for your mentors in case something happened to you.
Yeah.
Right? Think about all the young people, all the people who might be facing jail time, or maybe looking at sicknesses and have children. Can you see that as being, sort of a proactive thing that they do by saying, I know I'm going to be gone for 10 years. I know I may be gone forever. And positioning people, mentors in their lives.
I think it goes with like when you impart other people, it's kind of like it's the pay it forward concept. That the young people you mentor should want to be exposed to mentoring other people. And I think the cycle just continues down the line. And I think that's a succession plan because in the book I talk with Kenny Simmons and Tommy McLean, who do great work in Western New York. They are living proof of that, of how mentoring really works, and basically it's a succession plan that continues on and on from generation to generation.
Fair enough. Now, you referenced a few scriptures in your book.
Yes.
Is there one particular scripture that really stands out to you that, sort of alludes to mentoring and the need to do so?
I think one that that pops out is I was actually reading this morning is just, I put in Proverbs 29:18, where there's no vision, the people will perish. And that's significant because to me, mentoring is really about exposing young people to vision, to opportunities. And like I said in the last interview, is that a lot of our young people, may not experience things outside of their neighborhood. They're kind of like, they go home, they go to school, or they go to school, come back, and basically communicate within their neighborhood. And so providing more vision to see that there's other opportunities is significant. And without that, we perish, all of us.
Powerful. What, if I'm looking for a mentor, right? And that consists of a wide group of people.
Yes.
And whenever you think of a mentor, you think there may be a young person, right, who's looking for a mentor. But 20-somethings and 30-somethings, 40-somethings. I mean, you're always in need, right? There's always someone who knows more that can teach you. But if we're thinking about our listeners, and maybe they're in the 30 club, 40 club, how would you recommend them going about finding someone to look up to as a mentor?
I think you have to. It's kind of like I would compare it to like dating, in a sense. You want to make sure that the person you're going after, because be prepared to be rejected. I always tell people, because most of us try to go after the successful person that is really busy. They're and so you like their mentality, and so you got to do your research on the individual, and then be prepared to be rejected, because that's going to be part of the process. Because again, you're reaching out to somebody, and it's a part of humility. One is younger people and in our community overall, we have a tough time asking for help. And so you got to have that humility inside of you to say, I need some wisdom imparted on me. And so I think you just got to be very honest of what you're looking for. So I think when you approach that person, you know exactly what you want. And then they can basically either agree with it and be committed, because you don't want someone that is not fully committed and understand what you want out of this relationship. And so I think it's that communication and boundaries and expectations.
Well, be prepared for rejection. How do you handle rejection all the time?
I mean, it's part of life, and I think you have to prepare yourself and don't feel some type of way about it, because again, everybody has things going on in their life. But I also think if you approach any relationship without any expectations, because you can't just call up somebody and say, well, you mentioned me. Right. But you got to know what you want. And I think if you are specific about what you want and determine what you want out of it, that person may not be the right fit for you.
Or the time.
Exactly.
It might be time.
Timing.
Maybe you start sending those people that you find out when their birthday is.
Yeah.
Send them a happy birthday. Like, if you really want it, strategically write out a plan.
That's why I said it's kind of similar to dating in a sense. You put in all the stops, because again, especially if it's a successful person, you're trying to get have them impart some knowledge into you. They got it all the time, and so you got to prove yourself. Hey, I may have to start an internship. I may want to do this before we get to an official mentor role.
Got it. So tell us how to get the book.
Yes.
And when are you going on tour or anything like that? What do you got?
I'm working. I got a couple of things planned. So one is you can get the book at effectivementoring.org. So that's effectivementoring.org. And then I'm actually working on some trainings of effective mentoring for the community organization. So I'm kind of developing that right now. So I'm going to kind of hit the road in September of providing training and resources to those from the book into some implementation and how you can make that work.
Very good. Very good. Well, look out, everyone, for Mr. Robert Lowry. Now I got it right.
Like Mike Lowry.
Yeah, not like Lowry from the Toronto
Bad Boys.
From the Raptors. I'm sorry, I'm a sports guy. So
Lowry.
I always go back.
Can we stick SLB book review?
Effective mentoring over sports.
Back to effective mentoring, everyone. This is the SLB book review, and this is behind the scenes. This is get a little bit of extra.
I love it.
We appreciate you coming in.
Can I say one thing too?
Of course, please.
I just want to thank Shayla Brown just for her leadership and her investment into our community. So I really appreciate the invite to come on for a second time to talk about this. More than not just the book itself, but the mission behind it, and getting the message about how important and valuable mentoring is.
Well, I think she clearly lives her life as a mentor. I mean, we all look up to her. We all learn from her every day. So I think this is why you get, not a lot of people got back-to-back like the Raptors.
No, for real.
No, not a lot of people are back-to-back, man. This is very impressive. It speaks volumes to the issue itself and you as a person, man. We're very proud of you, and thank you for sharing your book journey with us on the SLB book review, everyone. That's right. So make sure on next Monday you keep it locked in 2:45 to 3 p.m. for the SLB book review. EffectiveMentoring.org.
.org. Yep.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. being there. I say this kind of last week is that I had a young man who did a great job through most of his young adult life, and then his past caught up with him, and he was faced with jail time of serving 10 years. And I still communicate with him. And what I'm learning through this relationship is his resiliency. That myself right now, I'm 44 years old. I don't think I can bear the burden of being locked up for 10 years. Having the mental capacity to stay positive and see the outlook. And the fact that, when I communicate with this young man, he's motivated. He's like, this is not the end. And I'm learning something through this mentorship process. Is like, wow, that's giving me some motivation. Say, wow, I'm learning something from you because
mentoring you.
Yeah, I mean, you take that. That's part of the process of being a good mentor. Is you learn from each other. Like in any relationship, it should be a two-way street. Not just thinking again, everything. And so I've never been incarcerated. So learning from him and seeing his resiliency and how he wakes up every day. When I talked to him, we did a Skype, and I was like, just seeing him, his face and his motivation, like, this is not the end, and I'm learning different things. And so this is so crucial.